I was like avoiding that because for having sex or stuff, I think we first need to have conversations. The open relationship.
Okay. To be honest with you, when I heard open relationship, I was taken back. I was like, wait, hold on a minute. None of you two have even spoken about an open relationship this whole time. And also on top of that, why are you getting engaged if one, well, it seems to me as if, actually, you know what? Let me not say that just yet because that's yet to come. But why get engaged if right now your relationship in the bedroom isn't exactly active? Because I've always said that a healthy relationship has to have a good balance of both physical as well as mental. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. If you're both in a position where you're unable to be emotionally available for each other, that's something that you have to work on. And if you're both in a position where being physical is something that isn't happening enough, again, it's something that has to be obviously dealt with, and both of them have to come hand in hand. There is no, oh, at least we're physical, so we're good. No, no, no. Oh, at least, you know, we are able to be for each other there mentally. No, 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 no. Both are always a key in my humble opinion, personally. Even if your love language is not physical touch, even though physical touch doesn't actually link to how intimate you want to be. Intimacy is actually part of all love languages, but hey, people don't talk about that. But with that being said though, let's get into it.
And that the relationship was open.
You didn't know that you guys were in an open relationship. Yeah.
And then this is what makes things worse, that the whole time, Alliya, well, Douglas at the time, had no idea that, you know, he was in an open relationship. And then boom, bam, finds out of nowhere. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you found out and then you decided to continue the relationship. Fair enough. Fair enough. But finding out and continuing without a resolution or solution, well, that's a problem.
Asking Shawn about the dating app on his phone. He said to me that we are not monogamous because we are not having like a day-to-day life.
That is hilarious. So this is how obviously Douglas at the time came across information, found dating apps on his phone. And then that's when Douglas was like, hey, whoa, hold on a minute, what's going on here? I didn't realize that we were sharing, because Douglas, you see, doesn't want to share and has no intentions of even sharing himself to anybody else. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's the case at the time. Do you see what I'm saying? But we fast forward now, and obviously Alliya has now arrived, and the same rules still stand. Alliya doesn't want to be in an open relationship, you know, wants to be in a monogamous relationship. But Shawn right now isn't budging. But his reasons is because of the day-to-day life. Okay, listen, I can respect it. If he wants to, no, not respect it, sorry. I can understand him wanting to have that physicality with somebody on a day-to-day basis because he can't have it with somebody who he's not with physically. I can understand it, but I don't respect it because you still chose to be with someone who's from another country. If he knows that a part of him being loved or a part of him being in a relationship involves him always being physical with somebody, well then he should have chose someone that was closer to home rather than choosing someone that's at a distance. But here's the thing though, from what I understand though, when it comes to the gay community stuff in particular, infidelity, whoo-wee, it doesn't go down very well. And also, from what I understand, open relations are a big thing as well. Boy, nonetheless though, we continue.
Technically, it's like you caught him cheating, right? You feel lied to?
Yeah, in that moment, I felt that.
It's crazy though, because Alliya says here, at the moment, has Douglas, I felt that. But what changed? I want to know what put Douglas in a position where he was like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to accept it and carry on. Why? Why? And the reason why I say this is because, you see, it's been very clear there's a big difference between Douglas and Alliya. Seems to me as if Alliya was a thing back then, she would have spoke up. Douglas, on the other hand, wouldn't have. And that's something that we're going to get into later on into this video, because we have to talk about why Shawn has decided to, you know, be around Alliya. And I feel like, to be honest with you, Shawn's intentions, I don't think that they were great, but we will get into that.
You don't have to be in an open relationship, especially now you're engaged. Like, if
I just needed to have an open relationship with you not being in the same country.
On a dating site, we both talked about wanting a long-term relationship, but being that we met during the time of COVID.
You know, when you hear the word but, when I say this now, this episode in particular exposes, in my humble opinion, how much of a, I mean, listen, I hate to say it, but obviously nowadays, I guess the word is used so many times, even by myself in particular. And obviously it's a word that we're using so many times nowadays. And obviously that is the word narcissist, you know what I mean? But sadly, there are so many people in this world that have these traits that show signs of being narcissistic. This is what I'm saying, okay? And that's the grand scheme of it. And to be honest with you, in this episode here, based on the things that I'm hearing coming out of Shawn's mouth regarding why he chose to, you know, pretty much be sleeping around and whatnot behind Douglas's back, tells me that this man is very self-centered, which therefore gives him those traits of being a narcissist. But here's the thing, he's talking about what it was COVID. All right, cool, I get it. COVID times they met online, but they hadn't actually physically met yet, so therefore he was still out there having a good time. You know what, cool, I get it, do what you gotta do. But you've had a conversation about a long-term relationship. In that conversation, why did he not find the time to say, hey, but right now, I still wanna be active because we can't see each other, and because of that, I don't know if we're gonna be guaranteed. It could have said something along those lines, you see what I'm saying? But instead of saying anything then, he didn't say a single thing. It's like, you know, he went out of his way to find someone, lock them in to be with him, you know what I mean? But in the meantime, he was going to have his own fun without disclosing information. That ain't cool. That ain't nice. That is selfish. That is self-centered. That is what? You dig what I'm saying? But let's continue though, because boy, the reasons he gives are ridiculous in my opinion.
Was during the first 2 years of our relationship. We never had a discussion where it was like, oh, I'm committing to you, we're going to be monogamous, nothing. And he saw like a dating app on my phone.
Boom, bam. This goes back to what a friend is saying about basically, you know, it's kind of like he was cheating. So basically, the conversation about you want to have an open relationship only came up because Douglas at the time saw the apps. If Douglas had never seen you on these apps or whatever, then this conversation would never happen. So therefore, you would have continuously kept on sleeping around behind Douglas's back without Douglas's actual knowledge. That's not cool. But again, though, we have to talk about why was he doing this to Douglas, and that's something again we'll get into later on because boy, the dynamics between Douglas and who Alliya is now explains a lot to why Shawn's attitude is becoming the way it is.
We didn't say we weren't going to do that.
We had the discussion, and Douglas reluctantly agreed to being non-monogamous.
He even says it. Douglas reluctantly agreed, but yet you still. Does that sound healthy for you? Does that sound healthy? Look at it this way. Sometimes in a relationship, there's things that we can discuss, and you know, one may not be fully on board, but those things have a benefit to the relationship. But then those things that we can have a conversation about, and not both parties are and one of them isn't that invested, but they're bad for the relationship. This is one of those situations where this is bad for the relationship.
My love language is touch. So I knew in my heart that if I made the commitment to waiting for us to be back together physically, and
you hearing this? Are you hearing this? My love language is touch. So basically, you're trying to say that everybody in this world that has a love language where their primary love language is touch, struggle being single, struggle to be alone, struggle without being touched. Is that what you're saying? Because I know plenty of people. You know what I mean? Where their one is physical touch, but they're okay taming themselves. So hearing all this nonsense about, oh, but my love language is physical touch, blah, 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 so that's why I have to, blah, blah, blah. This goes back to what I was saying before. I promise you, and I tell you now, if you really do your research and really educate yourself on love languages, just because your love language is physical touch, it doesn't mean that you're someone that is highly sexual, okay? It has nothing to do with that, to be honest with you. At the end of the day, for someone to want to be highly sexual, somebody has to tap into whatever your love language is. If your love language is words of affirmation, you know what I'm saying? You're with someone that's giving you those reassurance all the time, it's going to make you want to be physical with that person all the time. Do you see what I'm saying, okay? If yours is receiving gifts, whether it's freaking act of service, you know what I mean? Physical touch, yourself in particular, listen, when somebody gives you that love that you like, it's going to make you want to be intimate. That's why I no longer have this conversation anymore. You know, when people say, hey, so do you have a high sex drive or whatnot? I don't want to be having that conversation anymore. But to be honest with you, you can be in a relationship with somebody today and you can be like, I'm not in the mood, man. But then you can be in a relationship with somebody else the next day. Well, not literally the next day, but you get what I'm saying, okay? Sometime after, and that person's really tapping into that love language of yours. Really tapping into those things that make you feel good, make you feel loved, that make you feel appreciated. And all of a sudden now, you're like, hey, babe, come here. Come on now, you know what I mean? But then there's the other side where then we have the other side where people are addicted to intimacy for different reasons that are dark. Those people are not included in that conversation. This is conversation based on a certain category. So let's not get it confused, if you dig what I'm saying. But hey, Let's get into it.
I think we would have broken up. Oh, the persona, you know.
You can handle that. Which persona?
I really want to touch on the word persona. If I, straight man, sat here and said to somebody who was trans, or somebody that was transitioning, whatever, and I was like, so, how's your persona going? Because I know you've now got a new persona. Like, yo, I in my humble opinion, like, that person would be freaking offended. They'll be like, wait, hold on a minute. Are you telling me that I'm just now living by a persona? Yeah, are you telling me that this just isn't who I am? Like, if I'm transitioned to be so-and-so, it's because it's who I am. It's not a persona. It's not something that's short-term. I can imagine that's the kind of earache that I would get. But hey, it is quite interesting the things that you can say when you're part of the community and things you can get away with. But I guess that's every community, isn't it? There's things that we can say to ourselves, but others cannot say not. But I get it. But either way, though, the fact that he said persona is crazy. It is wild. For me personally, when I heard it, I was like, damn, that is hella disrespectful, to be honest with you. But hey, let's get into it. Well, because it means to me personally, it's like he's not respecting the fact that Douglas is now Alliya, and he still has hopes that Douglas will reappear. But why does he want Douglas to reappear? Again, we'll get into that.
I have a persona now that's, I'm Alliya, that's it. Douglas was so much more shyer and quieter. I would describe Alliya's personality as outgoing, very sassy and bossy.
Boom, bam, you see. The reason why, listen, let's just forget about genders all aside, okay, whatever, right? Sex, all that kind of stuff, okay, wherever it is. At the end of the day, it tells me that clearly he does not like to be in a relationship with anybody that's going to be bossy or anybody that's going to have a backbone. He only wants to be in a relationship with somebody that who he can push around and bully. You know, I'm not physically, but push around and bully in terms of the fact. Well, actually, no, let me not say the word bully. That's too strong. Someone who he can basically control. You know what I mean? Because this is a conversation that's been had last episode with a friend talking about obviously being controlled, and obviously the friend even talked about this episode about how the relationship is very one-sided when it comes to power. And at the end of the day, now because Alliya's got a voice, he's not liking that. He even spoke about how, hey, the reason why I'm not really being physical with you right now is because I'm not really enjoying this. You know, for me to want you, I've got to make sure that I'm the man in the relationship. I can't be with somebody that's gonna be bossing me or telling me no and da. All this Alliya stuff, yeah, I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I prefer Douglas, because Douglas was quiet, reserved, and basically did what I said. And this is why this is why, you know, when it comes to the way, this is why he's not happy with Alliya. You see what I'm saying, okay? And this is why he was able to take advantage of Douglas beforehand. And this is why I had to keep referencing Douglas throughout the whole episode, because at the end of the day, their relationship and how he has behaved is based on how Douglas behaved at the time. But of course, now it's a whole different landscape. Now Alliya is in the building, you see what I'm saying? And Shawn is not happy with it, and therefore it's not exactly, you know, doing it for him, which is why I guess he doesn't want to be physical with. And it's funny though, because for somebody who says that physical touch is like a big part of them, and that's why they have to sleep around. It's funny how you've been in Brazil, but then was it Brazil? I think in Brazil. But this whole time though, you haven't been physical with your actual partner. Make that make sense. I thought physical touch was your thing, bro. And this goes back to what I was saying before. Learn your love languages. You see what I'm saying? Okay, at the end of the day, the whole physicality thing is only active if somebody's tapping into your love language in particular. So right now, there's a part of his love language, okay, where he's not feeling controlled. There's a part of his character where he's not feeling like as if he's the man in the relationship. And because he's not feeling like that, what's he doing? Okay, he's now being less physical with Alliya. You see what I'm saying? And that's for a reason, because clearly he loves being dominant. Being dominant is obviously one of his traits, one of the things that he enjoys, and one of the things that obviously turns him on. And because he's not getting that right now in this relationship with Alliya, he's like, in that case, I can't be physical with you. But yet he will sit here and say that the reason why I wasn't absent, the reason why I want to open relations is because, you know, I just can't help myself because of my physical touch. Talk about being a hypocrite. I caught you red-handed on that one, mister. But let's continue.
And so my biggest issues with Alliya have been this attitude that Alliya has as a woman versus the attitude that Douglas was as a man. But you can't be the boss bitch of me.
Boom, bam. There we go. The problem, the root issue has obviously, you know, revealed itself. He can't stand the fact that Alliya has a voice. It's not about being a boss anything. It's about the fact that Alliya has a voice. And to be fair with you, Alliya hasn't even been bossy. Alliya just made it clear that, hey, I'm Alliya, I'm here to stay. And at the end of the day, these are the things that I want to do for myself, to better myself, and these things I want to do to make sure that I feel comfortable within myself, etc., etc., etc. He doesn't like that. He sees it as, okay, now you're overstepping, now you got a voice. So yeah, I mean, listen, I do wonder though, given the fact that they have these issues, why propose in the first place? Why propose and why, and also why say yes? Because clearly he still has issues with the fact that Douglas is gone and he hasn't got he has no power over Alliya at this moment in time. You know what I mean? And clearly Alliya over here needs to recognize that maybe you said yes for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? I feel like if they ever go down the journey of actually getting married, they have to have a serious conversation beforehand, because goddamn. But nonetheless, though, this is something that definitely needed a more of a deeper dive, you know what I mean? A more of a deeper conversation into it, because the way I looked at it, I was like, You see what I'm saying? Sorry, I kind of lost my words there. I'm not going to lie to you. But with that being said, though, I'm going to leave this video itself actually in particular separate, and I'm going to make the other videos together, okay, of the rest of the episode, you see what I'm saying, okay? Now, with that being said, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, peace.